Happy Friday. Here is the last free reading for those who submitted a request back in December. Now, if you weren't selected, you can always try again. So you can resend your request. Karma3675 at AOL.com. I'll post my email address in the description section. So this email came to me from a woman named Phyllis, and here she goes. So Phyllis is a Pisces, born March 9th, 1958. And she wrote me saying, my question is about having a loving relationship in the near future, or am I destined to be alone in this lifetime? I've been divorced for over 30 years now, and last serious relationship was about 15 years ago. Booty calls in between, but nothing serious, at least for 10 years. Breast cancer survivor, 9.5 years, congratulations, and doing well, but just never seem to be able to get back into the saddle afterwards. I feel lost and stuck and lonely in regards to companionship in my life. You feeling stuck? That's your Taurus South Node in the second house all day. I'm close to retirement. Both parents died late 50s and early 60s due to being unhappy. I feel not unrelated to their physical ailments. I'm blessed with what I have and who I am. 2 grown successful children. Congrats on that. Raising children is one of the hardest things ever. Beautiful granddaughter, all who love me dearly, but very lonely and isolated as I move into my senior silver years. I like the way you put that. I know that I have a lot to offer. Any suggestions? Anything noted on the horizon for me in the near future, including health-wise? I know I'm asking a lot, but any and all suggestions, recommendations, or advice will be greatly appreciated. Okay, so let's get into your chart. So first we're going to get into your relationship situation, your relationship profile. You mentioned that you were divorced 30 years ago, I think you said. Last relationship was 15 years ago. And, after that, it's just been booty calls and all that type of stuff. So, you're born March 9th, 1958. That makes you a Pisces. You got your sun and Mercury in Pisces. Your sun is at the 18th degree of Pisces. That 18th degree can be hard because it can bring challenges with your spiritual and your material life. So your spiritual life could be on point. It could be going well, but then your finances could be jacked up, or vice versa. Your money could be sweet, but then you could be spiritually corrupt. Now, if we're talking about the sun, that could represent men that you're dealing with, men that you attract. So just let me know if that rings a bell in your response to me. Now, your sun is conjoined to Mercury, so that makes you a fairly strong Pisces. And your life path, so you're a 9. 9s are very much about being independent, or 9s really need to be independent. 9s are very strong, very individualistic, very passionate about life, hardworking, all that good stuff. Your life path number is 8, and that's a big part of the problem in terms of your love life. So this is why you've been single for so many years. 8s can basically have that lonely life. You got 2 choices, like either the lonely life or the loner life. Now that doesn't mean you can't have family and friends and a lover and stuff, but 8 is very much about self-sufficiency. So your life path is one where you have to really go it alone a lot of times, and you might be lonely a lot of times, but it's all about perspective. And I'm not saying that you're never supposed to be lonely, but you can't let the loneliness overtake you to the point where you feel like you're inadequate without a partner. So another part of the problem is your sun is in square to Saturn. So Saturn squaring your sun, that's a big part of the problem, because that can deal with being single for a long time. And it can deal with having a hard time attracting men that will stay in your life, especially because Saturn is in Sagittarius. So you attract these men that they might even romance you, wine and dine you in the beginning, and then poof, they might be gone. Or they might be the hit it and quit it type. You mentioned the booty calls, all that, nothing serious. Also, you could attract men who will exploit you, who will basically be opportunistic. You have Venus opposing Uranus, which is another big part of the problem. That's where the booty calls are coming in, and where, like, you meet somebody but nothing really serious pops off, and it could just go like that for a while until you put a stop to it and you say, you know what, I'm not going to date at all. So the dating game for you is pretty messed up, like, with that Venus opposition Uranus. But there's a solution, a possible solution, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But that hookup right there can lead to divorce, can lead to sudden separations, sudden breakups. It can lead to situations where you find out certain things about a partner that shocks you, that stuns you, where you're like, oh wow, I didn't, like, who is this person I'm dealing with? Like, what was that show called? Who Did I Marry, or something like that? You got that type of opposition like that. Also, your South Node is in Taurus, like I said, it's in the second house, which means that in this lifetime you can't hold on to anything. When you try to hold on to things, and that can even be a partner, a spouse, all that, a lot of times they're going to fade away, or they're just going to reject you, or there's going to be something where there's going to be some type of separation, because in a past life you were very much too attached to things, especially to the material, which explains why your sun is at the 18th degree. Like I said, that 18 is very much about material, spiritual conflict. So even in terms of personal relationships, that Taurus South Node can be a motherfucker, excuse my French, because Taurus is also the sign of normalcy. It's the sign of stability and security. So when you got your South Node in Taurus, I got the same thing. When you got your South Node in Taurus, you can't really bank on anything being solid. You basically have to roll with the punches. You have to basically be willing to accept that something might be here today and gone tomorrow, just like that. And that's how things work with that Scorpio North Node. And you have Neptune right on the Scorpio North Node. So that could deal with part of your destiny is to be alone a lot of the time. Because when you get involved with people, or too closely involved, too bonded to people, a lot of times you get used, and you get you're the one losing in the process. You're the one having to make all the sacrifices. So your North Node is conjoined to Neptune. It's also conjoined to your Moon and Jupiter. So you have this tight stellium in Scorpio in the 8th house. And so the death theme is strong. That's also where your breast cancer is coming in, namely because of the Moon is in the 8th in Scorpio. It's conjoined to Jupiter, even though there's all those planets in between. But that's where the breast cancer is coming in. Your moon rules your 6th house. That's the house of health. So that's the breast cancer right there. But that hookup also represents death, like I said. Death in the physical, but also symbolic sense. And you said you lost both parents already. So there's that strong death theme surfaces with your parents. But also death in the symbolic sense, like, when you go through a breakup, you really go through this period of death where you may not get back into the game, in the relationship game, for many years. So the Scorpio energy in the 8th house, heavy energy in the 8th house, you can also look at that as avoidance, where, and it could be necessary because all of the type of men that you attract are no good. And you did mention that basically it's been a bunch of booty calls. Well, I'm not going to say a bunch. I'm not going to say you was just running out there, just jumping on any dick. But you said booty calls. But, like I said, that Venus opposition Uranus, if you didn't put a check on your, sex drive, like if you didn't put a check on your need to, be in some type of relationship, you could be running through men, or allowing men to just run through you, man after man after man. The good thing is you got that Scorpio stellium that'll put a stop to that, where you're going to be like, after a while, I can't deal with this. I'd rather be single. That's that type of hookup, because again, it can deal with avoidance, where you're like, and where you're just rejecting anybody that's giving you signs that they're up to no good, or signs that they're not, relationship material, whatever. You can look at that Scorpio stellium as part of your protection. but it could be a big time killer as well, as you saw with the breast cancer situation and how that threatened your life. But as you know, Scorpio also deals with rebirth. So you do have a chance to revive your life in terms of your relationship. But I have to admit, it's not easy at all in terms of your relationship profile. But there is hope. So you can continue being single for another 10 years if you don't do something to go against your own grain. And your grain is basically your natal chart, because the way it's set up for you to be single for a long time. But again, like I said, there's a way out. So just give me a minute. So there is a possible solution, which I'm going to get into right now. So wait, let me just, yeah, I basically said what I needed to say about your child. I don't want to make this too long. But anyway, the possible solution is, like I said, you got to go against your own grain. If you really want to start being in a relationship again, you're the type of person that needs kind of like a matchmaker type of thing. Either a matchmaking service, and I'm not talking about just going online and signing up for Tinder or Plenty of Fish, OK Cupid, all them dating sites. I'm not talking about going on dating sites. I'm talking about either hiring a matchmaker, going to a matchmaking service, using someone that has, that's like a relationship counselor, relationship expert, but also finding out about local meetup groups for singles in your age group. Start going out, doing things that are of interest to you and mingling and all that type of stuff. So it's like you got to force yourself out and start socializing. And it needs to be things that are sort of kind of on the craft end, but it could also be health end. So you could join a meetup group that deals with health or, fitness or something like that. Join a meetup group that deals with, some type of craft making or something like that. That way you'll be meeting men that are more in line with who you are in terms of your interests, in terms of your personality, all that. But you definitely need some help. And that deals with Pluto being at the 0 degree of Virgo in your 7th house. You got Virgo retrograding your 7th. Now that could be like really hard in terms of if you're not being very conscientious about the type of men you're attracting, you can easily attract men that will just use you for sex, use you for, help to get on their feet. You might get with them and they have a job and all this stuff. Next thing you know, somehow, some way they lose their job. And next thing you know, you got to carry them, help them out and all this type of stuff. So, the help theme is big. Helpmate theme is big. But to turn it around, you can go after men that have some type of vocation where they make serious money. So a plumber might have been with your ex-husband might have been a plumber with Pluto at the 0 degree of Virgo in your 7th house, or maybe a garbage collector or something like that. But somebody that has some technical skills and trade. So a plumber, a carpenter, a welder, I'm trying to think. You know what I mean. Somebody, or you might even get with a cop with that Virgo energy in your 7th house. But you need to get with a man that is like straight up and down. He's traditional. He just wants, one woman. He's tired of playing the field. He's acknowledging that he's approaching his senior silver years, like you said. And, yeah. Now, you said if I could look at some things, coming, up the pike for you or coming down the road. I'm focusing on health in particular for you, but also men. And real quick, you do have, the South Node is about to land on your Mars. That's going to be March 3rd, 2019. So around that time, you got to be careful because you could sustain a knee injury, or your knee could just start giving you problems, especially if you've already had problems with your knee. Also, a rash could develop. And with Mars being in your 12th house, watch what type of chemicals you're using around that time, what type of fragrances, all that type of stuff. Also, you could be, a man from your past could be trying to get back with you. Also, you could be dealing with a new man, but it might be a karmic debt relationship, so tread carefully. And then also the North Node is going to be landing on your sixth house cusp shortly thereafter. That's going to be in April, I believe. So you might experience some type of health problem. It could be your stomach. It could be dealing with your breast. It could deal with also some issue regarding your family as well. Somebody in your family might need your help. Also, what's really concerning, but this doesn't have to be all worrisome, but I am a little concerned. You do have Neptune landing on your sun this year. And it's going to go back and forth because Neptune goes retrograde and moves so slow. So Neptune is one of the transits that will produce a lot of long-term trials and tribulations, ordeals that could last a couple of years. Now, Neptune is going to land on your sun 5 times between May of 2019 and December of 2020. So I'm going to throw out some dates for when these transits of Neptune are going to become exact, where it's going to land exactly on your sun. But know that this transit is going to be affecting you the whole way through. So I'm giving you these key dates, which means that the energy of that transit is going to be the most intense on that date. But the events that it brings, it could happen like a couple of months before the exact date. And it'll be other transits that will trigger it. So May 16th is the first time Neptune is going to land on your sun. July 28th, July 28th, 2019. So 2 dates in 2019. May 16th and July 28th. And then in 2020, that will be March 7th, November 1st, and December 25th. Now, my advice to you is to just be hyper vigilant during this time, but don't be paranoid. But you might end up being paranoid with respect to certain things because of Neptune's influence. You really got to watch the men that may enter your life during this 2-year period. So between, I would say, starting now and the end of 2020 and even beyond, because you can really end up attracting some liars, some cheats, sleazeballs, users, addicts, drug addicts, and you won't know it. Like, you won't know they're a drug addict until you fall in love with their asses, and then you start to see like, damn, he needed a drink every night before he go to bed. Damn, every time we go out, he takes like 4 shots. Damn. Oh, damn, I didn't know he snorted coke. Like, so you gotta be careful because you could be seriously deceived by anybody, but especially men around this time. Also, there could be some challenges involving one or both of your children. And also, you mentioned health. So that Neptune transit can be impactful in terms of health. You could come down with a serious illness. You got to watch your feet around that time because Pisces deals with the feet. Neptune rules the feet. So watch your step. But you could also just develop some type of foot problem like edema in the feet where your feet just start swelling up. And that could be a sign that you're dealing with some type of deficiency, vitamin, mineral, or there's some issue going on. Be careful of any medications that you take because there could be some adverse reactions. You could have dizzy spells. You could have problems with your sleep around this time. But on the bright side, you could become very psychically in tune. Like, your dreams will be off the chain. You'll be able to like help people out in terms of being able to see what's wrong with them in terms of health. Like, you might be able to be like, when's the last time you've been to the doctor? Are you sure your heart's okay? Like, you might just be able to see certain stuff. So your vision is going to be, your psychic vision is going to be 2020 with this transit. And your compassion is going to increase. You're going to be able to use magic if you're into that sort of thing to make things happen in the real world. And remember I said, you got that 18 theme with your sun at the 18th degree. So it's that spiritual material conflict. So know with this Neptune transit, you're coming into a very spiritual time in your life. And some of it may be spiritual testing, but other parts of it could be spiritual rewards. So let me know what you think. You can send me an email. I'm sure you will. rather than posting a comment in the comment section, but you can also post a comment in the comment section as well. I hope that I was able to help you gain some insight and enlightenment. I know you really wanted this free reading, so I wanted to make sure that I got to you this time around. Now, if anybody would like a chance for a free reading for the month of March, because we're already in February, so if you would like a month free reading or a chance for a free reading for the month of March, send me an email with free reading on the subject line. I will leave my email address in the description section. And if you would like an in-depth reading now, you could go to my website at ravina.com. Peace and many blessings, and I'll be back with more videos.